Welcome to True Wellness with Dr. D, the podcast where we explore what it takes to live with vitality, balance, and purpose. I am Dr. D, and each week I'll bring you powerful tools, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you thrive in every area of your life. From health and wellness to mindset and navigating life's challenges, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of true well-being. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of True Wellness with Dr. D. Today is a very special episode for you because, did you actually realize that your bodies are one big energetic system? Do you realize that the things that impact our body aren't just the things we can actually see out in the physical world, like the plastic bottles or, processed foods, but that our health expands beyond just those things that we can see. And that is what we are going to dive into today with the most perfect person to have that conversation with. I am joined today by Grace Asagra, who is also known as the Quantum Nurse, and who also has a podcast called The Quantum Nurse. And, Grace was born and raised in the Philippines, deeply immersed in the indigenous healing traditions that we don't often get to expose ourselves here in the American culture. But she has pursued a career as a holistic registered nurse. She also has a PhD in the quantum morphogenetic physics, which I'm sure she's going to dive into and give us some English words for that so we know exactly what that means. But Grace she's got over 28 years of diverse nursing experience, from 20 years in critical care to 8 years dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's care. And she weaves into her practice the integrative methods and methodologies, as well as the frequency medicine that she's going to share with us as we have our conversation today. So Grace's practice is called Optimal Health and Wellness with Grace. And it is a practice where she co-creates personalized health and wellness programs with her clients. She is a critical thinker. You'll find on her podcast that she has transformative conversations about health and geopolitics, advanced wellness practices, and so much more. So thank you, Grace, for being here with us today. We are so blessed and lucky to have you join us.
Well, thank you. Equally grateful. I'm super excited for you and to continue to, create your own podcast, because it's been like I've always had you, and you were so gracious to be in my podcast. And now it's your turn, and thank you for having me. And greetings to your audience. That was a very generous introduction, and let me see if I can live up to it. Okay.
I think that will be no problem. Well, let's dive in, because I'm not even sure 100% where this conversation is going to go today, which I think makes it really exciting. Because, like I said in the beginning, we're so out of tune with the other things that impact our wellness. And I know your specialty is really within that frequency and how frequencies heal and how these things that we cannot see impact our health. So tell us a little about that. I know you speak about priming the vessel for DNA activation. What does that mean?
Okay, well, I guess I'll really make it simple by just going back to how I started thinking like this.
Yes.
It was really back in my youth days when I was active in church in the Philippines. And as being raised as Christian, but at the same time you are surrounded with indigenous people
Yes.
who respect the trees, who talk to the trees, who talk to the bananas or something. So
Exactly.
and then we're always taught and explained that God is infinite, source is infinite, is omnipresent. So when I keep thinking of that, and I didn't have any inhibition or limitation to the way I think
Yeah.
about my body. And right away, I connected that this is the materialized portion of God's creation. So we can call it as a vessel. Other people can call it as a bowl, as a basin. And let me see that for my people, you may say it as a basket, so where it holds something. And when you say it holds, it can form something. So, like recently, my two grandchildren were with me. So they are 10 and 8. And so they said, "Oh, when we make the rice balls," and I showed them already, but this young man has his own idea. So
Of
I was even saying, "Why don't we just do it with our hands and like this?" I said, "So what do you really want to do?" I said, "Well, I want to get a small bowl and put it in there." So that's how he did it. And it's kind of like more work, but I just allowed him to create his own and to test his own ability or his own theory and how to do it. So our body is kind of like, for me, as a vessel, as a bowl, as a mold, and we can kind of detach on it as a co-creator of that body. We can mold it, we can influence it and create it as the way we want. So I
yeah.
guess we can simply understand that's priming the vessel. And you put the word prime, right? So primary, it's important. And there in Christian teachings, they'll always say your body is your temple. So
Yes.
then you can translate that to all other spiritual paths or practices. I think no one will say or argue with us that it isn't part of our divinity. So
Yeah.
if we can think of that, then maybe we'll take care of our body a little bit more than what
Yeah.
we're doing.
I hear a couple things. So, as we're talking about priming the vessel, we're talking about having our body be that best vehicle because our body is a gift, right? Like we wake up and we've got to say, wow, like, thank you for this amazing gift that we have. And what I hear you saying about being able to shape and mold the body is that we are not just in effect. Our bodies are not just about what happens to us, but that we actually play a very big role in the body's function, the body's operation. And I'm assuming it's in the actions that we take and the thoughts that we think and in the feelings that we feel. Is that?
Yes, you got it right. And
Yeah.
so as you are talking to me, I'm sensing and respecting that you are kind of shaping me in this moment, in our conversation.
Uh-huh.
You
Uh-huh.
see? So that's how, and that's the kind of frequency and energy exchange that we have. So
Right.
if we can always have that in our mind, in our system, as you said, we interweave it in all parts of our body, then maybe we'll always attract the right direction on who to talk to, what supplements to take, what food
Yes.
to eat, right?
Yes. Well, I know we as QRA practitioners, we're always interacting with the energetic frequencies of the bodies and tuning in to what it is that those energetic frequencies are saying. But think about what you just said. You said like in this conversation, I am being shaped and molded by the frequency and the direction that the conversation is taking. And that just kind of like the little light bulb went off in my head and I said, well, isn't that interesting? Because how many conversations do we have a day? How many people do we interact with? How do we interact with ourselves? So if we say we want to have true wellness, we say we want to have optimal health, and then we're engaged in negativity kind of around us and within us, like we've got a disconnection.
Yes, exactly. And so what we listen, what we read, what we look at, and those are precious time and moment.
Yes.
So if we can pay attention and now be conscious and be aware what it's doing to our immediate body, then maybe we can be cautious. And
Right.
instead of like submitting ourselves or attracting the negativities that we have, which eventually could materialize into illnesses, right?
Right.
Okay, then so we have all the power to make ourselves be protected, at the same time make ourselves oscillate our vibrations and frequencies so we can be helpful to others. And
Yes.
yeah, and yes, and this moment when we're talking, it's the moment that we exchange energies through this online thing, and it's a powerful thing. So we can prove that we don't have to be physically present, and you
Yes.
know that you have
Yes, of
got
course.
many people online.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, my practice is 100% remote. It's what we do all the time. So I want to highlight something that you said, because people don't often stop to consider that our health can be impacted by so many of these different things. And what you said really puts into perspective, like, oh, wait a second, maybe we have a lot more power and control over the direction of our health and our life than we've been led to believe, right? We've kind of just been led to believe that things happen to us, and that we are sort of at the mercy of everything else. Again, in that effect space versus actually being at cause.
Yes, and I'm sure your audience, your followers, know that even in themselves. And maybe one experiment that they can do is maybe for 1 week, they just own their health. They just make decisions for themselves, choose them, things
Yes.
without so much like depending on others. And
Yes.
then they will know, they will experience that. Let's say just do it for 12 days, because 12 is really an eternal number. And they can see that because we it's not that the two of us are the only ones who know the secrets for
Sure.
life, but just we're just the ones who just, let's say, practice it and
Yes.
claim it. So
Yes.
we want the same for our audience.
Yeah, I was having a conversation earlier today with one of my clients, and we were talking about, we were just discussing a little bit about her relationship with herself, her weight loss journey. Because I see this a lot when clients come in, they want to lose weight, and so they start to do something different or something new in that attempt or with that hope to lose weight. And then you begin to have a conversation with them, and what you hear is that what they're doing is not necessarily to honor their body, but it's almost like a punishment to their body. And so we had this conversation this morning about, well, if you're punishing your body, how far along is that actually going to bring you to where it is that you truly want to go? What if your body just wanted that love and that forgiveness to be able to literally release?
Yeah, and sooner or later, your body tells you, your situation tells you the things that you cannot change, that
Yes.
you've been wanting to change. So
Yes.
hello, maybe there's something that you had to change in small ways and step by step, and then allow a pause and see if it comes back to you in a beneficial, or let's say they say in a so what's the English word that a lot of people, and anyway, but it's just kind of beneficial or favorable. That's one word, right? So if that's favorable, then that's the good route to go to. But if it's constantly the same, it goes into a cycle, and
Yes.
then that means hello, stop, and then redirect.
Yes. Because otherwise you just keep going around in the same darn circles over and over again.
Yeah. Um, well, we and as practitioners, we also will be drained to continuously be with. I'm sorry, we're not trying to not love our clients or patients, but if it's the same thing over and again, you're just supporting our financial needs, but
Right.
we also want a good frequency from you, so that you say, oh, we're doing something good too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I want to point that out too, because it is about frequency. It is about the level of our introduction. I don't know how many of our listeners are familiar with David Hawkins' Power versus Force, right? Where he talks a little bit more about the frequencies and the energetics and the vibrational ratings for different emotions. But when we're trapped in those lower level emotions, there we can't access joy and love if we're stuck in anger, guilt, shame, you know. So I think that's powerful what you said.
Yeah, yeah. And then if we all and there's a systematic growth to that or accretion of that frequency, because if we rush it in a negative way, because there are also ways that people rush it, they had no patience to evolve organically. That's also the opposite of of not how do you call it, it's just the opposite. You can't rush things, you have to evolve gradually. So
Yes.
then we say, well, I have this like download, or I have this revelation. But if that revelation costs you harm in the future, then that's again, it's not good. That's another form of blockage, right? And you
Sure.
Dr. D and I knows that one could be so, let's say, spiritually evolved, but
Mhm.
then there's something off with either their behavior or their health. That
Yeah.
means there's a blockage somewhere.
Yes.
And we cannot cheat. We cannot cheat the organic way of growth. And so it's important that you be connected with the right people and be surrounded with the right people and conversations and everything. And so
Yes.
that's why I like my relationship with Dr. D and others, because we we kind of feed off, not in a bad way. We don't vampire each other's energy. So that's
Right.
another thing, okay? When you vampire someone's energy or you let someone vampire you,
Yes.
that's so. And
Yes.
that could also be true to not just relationship, but also in, when you're feeling that this whatever supplements you're taking and it's really driving you to be emotionally unstable, then
Yes.
hey, maybe it's not the right one for you. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what the research study says. So
Yeah. It matters what works and doesn't work for your specific body, your specific vessel. Talk to me a little bit about, let's talk a little bit about that alignment, right? How do people become more environmentally, more energetically aligned?
um, that's a very profound question, and many people had found many ways, right? But
Yes.
I guess for me, my we at some point in our lives, whether we believe in or we practice a certain religion, I think there's always an advantage that we can connect with something greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if the outcome of that, if it's looking favorable, beneficial to you and to the people around you, then you are aligned with source consciousness.
Yes.
Because for me, it's so magnificent the way our world is created. For me, every time I go up in a mountain, I'm like, my God, why am I worried with my life? Look how beautiful this
Yes.
mountain with trees, and. So I'm like, gosh, so that's magnificent. And then you look at, especially at nighttime with all the stars, and like, wow, look how magnificent that is again.
Yes.
So there is some truth to the matter that there is a divine creation and there's a divine creativity in us. So when you are aligned, and we always say go vertical, and as you kind of go and be connected with the first creation process, with the source spiral process. However, there's also that horizontal connection, and that's now for me, that's amongst all of us,
Yes.
human beings, the animals, the trees, all that.
So
So
vertical is within yourself. Vertical is within yourself, and then the horizontal are with the other things, people, things, animals in our environment.
Right. That's how I look at it. And sometimes if I have to think in a physics way, then I would say that's electrical, when you, and that's magnetic on
Yes.
the other way. Okay. So for me, there should be a harmonization of those frequencies.
Mm.
You can't be too like everything is, vertical, but it's not like you're not even very nice to your neighbor, you know?
Right. Maybe there's something out of alignment in that vertical space there to explore.
And, and all of this happens also within you.
Yeah.
Are you being nice to yourself? It's just everything. And then if we go again to our body as the vessel, look, how many of us have heard about the different portals, vortices in our body? Okay,
Yes.
so then that goes in again. So we're always thinking about the macro relationships, the macro source consciousness, and the micro. So we
Yes.
go to the magnificent infinite, and then at the same time, it's also in
With
those little quantum cellular level.
yes.
So for me, that is how you're connected is, again, look at your life.
Yes.
Look at your life, and you don't have to beat yourself if it's not what you wanted. Just pause. There's always a chance to get back to source, because they said we're never really separate.
Yes.
Once in a while we're disconnected, but we have a choice to connect. We're
Yes.
never separate. We will never be separate because we are a downstep of that magnificent creation. We
Yes.
reflect that. So
Yes.
do we want to materialize that? Then it's up to us. Okay.
I love that. I love that. Again, putting the ball in our court at any point in time, right? We can step out of being in a fact or kind of being in the victim role and into like, oh wow, I have the power. I have the ability to do these things and change these things and really make a difference. So tell me exactly, as best you can, what is the quantum morphogenic field? What is quantum morphogenic physics?
Is the quantum morphogenetic physics is a very fancy way of describing that there is energy fields around us. And from the word morphogenic, so there's already the form. But in the eternal life teachings, there's a blueprint. There's a blueprint. So, but in that blueprint, we have a choice and to make decisions whether we want to follow eternal blueprint or the finite blueprint. And of course, many times we never really say, oh, I want a finite. That's why we're always looking for infinity, right? But then somehow our choices bring us to that point that, it gives us to the end. So that quantum morphogenetic physics encompasses the acknowledgement that there's energy and consciousness, and these two weave and shape our reality.
Yes.
So that's why I love it so much, because it brings back again to my understanding as a child that just because Western medicine said that you will have high blood pressure now, it's forever. No, because that was the first thing I said later as a student nurse before. That's not correct, based on my understanding of what source is, of what
Yes.
God is, or whatever you call, right?
Yes.
So, and then in the quantum morphogenetic physics, you acknowledge that there's hologram, that we're just hologram.
Yes.
In that again, all our frequencies really can spread way past 4 meters, or way past our house. Could be, and that when we go around, and that we could change this hologram. And in quantum morphogenetic physics, you acknowledge the presence and the influence of the scalar frequencies, which is nonlinear. It goes beyond the electrical and the magnetic. So again, okay? And then, so all of this becomes so profound that, again, very empowering. But at the same time, it's still within source consciousness.
Right.
Okay. So anything, and eventually, seriously, eventually, if we think we're connected, but if your life, your words, your thoughts are like, as they said, shit show, then stop and think. Stop and think again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really profound. I mean, it's almost mind-boggling to a certain degree to even begin to imagine what that is actually like, right? Because it's really outside of our normal human capacity to think about all of that, like all of these different fields, the hologram, all the energetics, all the different connections, and yet this is something that we are very real a part of. And what I find fascinating, Grace, I don't know about you, but I feel like we're more and more having more and more science that actually shows us in this actually concrete 3D world that we live in, that these things are actually taking place.
Yes, and if we can even relate to the experiences of athletes
Yes.
or other performers,
Yes. Yeah.
see, they may not use the word quantum morphogenetics or something, but if they continue to do their training, to put their mindset, to put their emotions in balance and take care of their nutrition, isn't it interesting that some can achieve things or achievements that they would not even maybe before think,
Yeah.
because they believe that there's something more out there.
Yes.
That's now part of the quantum morphogenetic field. There's
Yes.
something out there. It's up to us to tap into it. Say
Yeah.
hello. Hello, can I be here? Can I go back to my infinite power that is also, not for evil intention, because it's also always
Sure.
what's your intention.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's funny. I'm working with my family right now where my children and I and my husband we're doing the magic. The book is called The Magic by Rhonda Burns. It's kind of each day there is a new gratitude practice that we take on to, again, it's all about raising that vibrational frequency, reconnecting with the gratitude, reconnecting with all the blessings that we have. And also, I mean, really it's reconnecting with each other. For me, I was like, okay, well, we're going to do this as a family. Why? Because we're all living in this same space, the same container. Let's just raise the vibrational frequency in our little space, right? In our home, within our family community. But I mean, that's an illustration of what you're talking about, right?
Yes, and remember how Dr. Marshalls
Mhm.
used to tell us, always end up with a thank you.
Yes.
And so that's how it is. And yeah, many times we can pray, if that's the word you use. We could meditate, that's the word you use. But at the end, always offer gratitude
Yes.
and pause. And when you pause, feel sense source consciousness gratitude to you.
Yes.
Because when you do that to source, source thanks you also that you connect. So it becomes like a bi-directional or multi-directional way.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. I will say I have had many, many, many experiences where after prayer or meditation, there is a definitive sensation that I feel throughout my body that it is an acknowledgement. It is a gratitude. It is a connection. It is beautiful. I don't have it, another way to put it.
Yeah, and that's when we encourage, you know, everyone, if they have the time, if they want to really be know more about themselves, you can write, you can do your
Yeah.
journal and see. what you observe with yourself.
Yes.
Nothing wrong or no, yeah, there's no right or wrong on how you experience it. But when you pause and pay attention, it's that's when you know more, and you can use that information in where you want to go again, where you want to drive your path. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Drive your path. Because, yes, it is about being the driver for sure. Tell me about what is your perspective on the body, the body as being that vessel for transformation that you often talk about?
I've really honored that in our body, one of the maybe the primary important thing to acknowledge is that DNA. Because for me, many times, and even science, as you said, they've been already telling us the role of the DNA. Some are limited information, some are true
Yes.
information. So in that DNA, because it has codings of how we want to express it, and I look at it as a multidimensional structure. So that multidimensional could bring us and help us to multidimensionality of time. Because how many of us said, "Oh, it seems like that's a deja vu," or "it seems like that's familiar," or "in my dream." So, and then many of us too, we can keep on doing many other things like good food and nutrition, etc., etc. But there's something that just we couldn't fully maximize or bring out our potential. It's maybe because there's some distortions, there's some mutations, which we again know. We hear about 5G, whatever G, and
Yes.
and all that. So if we go and really know that there's more to that DNA than we're being told, then it will go bring us again to the path of knowing what's in that, what are the secrets. So when that's when I got really involved in studying, and that's really part of the quantum morphogenetic physics, is
Uh-huh.
to know that in that DNA, that what they call intron DNA is where the secret lies, because the one that they know is only 1.5% of all
Yes.
the DNA. So could you imagine, source couldn't be created those DNA for nothing.
Right, right. And we do the term for that is junk DNA, right? Oh, that's
That's
just
what they
junk.
call.
That's junk. The only
Whereas,
thing that matters is that small amount, and the rest,
yeah,
well, it's just garbage.
yeah,
Maybe it is that we just don't truly understand
yeah,
what its purpose and its function is. I mean,
yeah.
I always do say, everything that happens in our body, everything that's created, it's there for a reason, whether we understand what that is or we don't.
Yeah.
There's a reason, there is a purpose. So what you're saying is, hey, we understand this 1.5% over here, we kind of got it scientifically slated, but hey, that other 98.5%, it makes a real difference.
Yes, and why not study that? And so that also applies to those supplements that we take, the food that we take. They have their own DNA. So,
Yes.
it's just a matter of us acknowledging, increasing the quality, the
Yes.
resonance, the harmonization of our own frequency, so we connect with whatever we're eating and taking.
Yeah.
So it goes back to just that kind of relationship. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's a big reason why I know, you and I, we both use Premier Research Labs products because of that frequency, because the way that those products are developed to have specific frequencies that align with the body's different energetic systems, right? Whether it be the kidneys, the liver, the thyroid, or, whatever it is that's happening within the body. So it's interesting because we don't always pay attention to how things interact with our body. These days the truth is we're all, and I speak for, I am the biggest person who it's like, okay, I'm in my head, I'm doing this, that, and the other, the day goes by, and it's not a whole lot of time that we actually stop and say, oh, I just ate that thing. How does my body feel? Right?
Yeah.
We don't even stop to pause. We don't stop to pay attention because we're just go, go, go.
Yes, and just like recently, I like dancing. I like taking classes,
Yeah.
socialization, but I know that my left heel was already hurting. Thank goodness there was one Saturday that I said maybe we shouldn't go there. We shouldn't do the socials. But at the same time, because we have another Zoom meeting that was really very exciting for other reasons, and then so I gave myself time to pause on Saturday and Sunday and Monday. I said, "Whoa, I feel so good today." So that kind of paying attention, because all things, even the things that we love, can hurt us if
Yes.
we not pay attention to our bodies.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said. And again, I am diligently working on this and I have not mastered it. I'm sure it's part of my life's journey, this life, is to really get to understand that slow down piece, right? That quiet piece, that the the realization that in order to, we're all on a race to achieve more, do more, be more, all that, but you can't get there by just spiraling all the
Yeah,
time, just going, that quiet, like there's so much that can be done. There's so much that can get accomplished in, an hour meditation that could never be accomplished with hours and hours and hours of work.
yeah, and one and don't we don't have to be too strict with our own schedule, because if we couldn't do like the x amount of time that we want, it's okay. You can move on, because there might be something that's good. And how many times we want to rush and we got delayed into traffic, and
Yes.
you just don't know. Either there's an accident, or maybe it's better not to be in that situation. It's
Yes.
like investing, right? So you don't
Yes.
get to mention all the other things. Sometimes we say we rush, we invest, and we missed it. Said, oh, but maybe it's good. And truly, after a while, you see the result of the investment. It's good. So that pause is like when you believe, I said, don't go crazy with what you think. There's always some inner guidance that if we know, then everything will work out to our, benefit as well.
Yeah, I always say that. I have a mentor who once said to me, remember, everything is always working out for your highest and best interest. And that is like probably my motto, right? It's like, okay, whenever I feel that, that little twinge of anxiousness about something, it's like, okay, everything is always working out for my highest and best interest. Even though I might not be able to see it, like it's happening that way for a reason. And like touching on what you said, like there are so many times where I have, maybe had a project that I wanted to get done, and it's like it never like got to the top of the to-do list. And so here I am upset about it. But then, more time goes by and you're like, oh, wait a second, that wasn't the project I was supposed to do. Something else was supposed to happen. Look at that. I got saved from putting in all that work unnecessarily,
Yeah, yeah, it's all true. And it seems like the secret of the health, good health, longevity, and happiness truly lies in us taking that pause, and then allowing that silence to lead us to where we should connect, and primarily connect to what we truly want, right? So when we truly want that, and then we practice, and then we get confident. So I'm I just recently got involved with an organization that I really wanted. I told myself during the pandemic, I said, I'm not going back to any work that is not connected to, that resonates to me. And then, of course, George even advised me, I think you'll be stressed out to your, I said, but part of me said, no, I want to take that opportunity to experience it. And I said, it's not an imprisonment anyway. If at some point it doesn't work, I'm not going to let them drain me just because I could help them, just because they know that it's their organization is close to my heart. So,
Yeah.
that's how you do the things that you want to do. You get confidence, although you talk to someone you trust, it still go back to yourself and say, let's see, how are we going to do this? Okay.
Yeah, it's really powerful. I mean, my TED Talk and my upcoming book, they it really is all about learning to listen to that inner voice, to trust your inner self, because without that, I mean, we really don't have anything. We've got so much profound wisdom within us that if we just stopped, paused, checked in, life gets a lot easier.
Yes. The one thing that one have to remember is that we all need to continue to do some, I would call it DNA activations, because you have to accrete good beneficial high resonance frequencies so you can touch in yourself, is my intuition really the right or not? Because many people will say, hey, I followed my intuition, but you look what it and I ended up. Okay,
Yeah,
so your constant moment to moment practice intention of like claiming the purity of your primal energy that source gave you have to continue to do that, keep working on that, and then we get good in like, oh, I don't think this person, maybe I shouldn't be
yeah,
spending too much time, or
yeah,
said, oh, this one, or things. And so like at some point maybe Dr. D is not available for you to call, and you think it's an emergency, but you can go back to yourself, okay, or the previous conversation that Dr. D encouraged you. So you always like, okay, then don't go crazy like because the other person who's been helping you is not there around you. So
right, right. I like what you said, because I do think that it is important for people to do that inner work, because, yeah, sometimes we do mistake maybe old beliefs or subconscious patterns, or survival mechanisms that we have in place that maybe have occurred from past trauma or past lifetime, or something else that can color or cloud what we're looking at as our intuition, right? It's kind of like the woman who's always attracted to the really bad guy, right? For example,
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
the attraction, maybe that's like they're saying that's their intuition, yet it's attached to maybe some emotional trauma or baggage from the past that's causing them to go in that direction. I mean,
true.
how do you what do you recommend that people do to really activate their DNA, like you're saying, to really prime the pump?
Well, since we're both QRA practitioners, and you got your training in nutrition and natural medicine, so did I. So it is most important to start with your body. Okay, so the and all that is like the what you eat, what you drink, what you do every single day. That's most important. You cannot just keep on meditating or go to the temple or attend all the retreats, and yet you don't really take care of your physical body.
Yes,
Okay, that physical body connects with your mental body and with your emotional body.
yes,
So that's baseline. And we can always go back and forth. In my observation, people who are really taking care of that can is able to be in touch more with their higher dimensional frequencies when they do their basic 3D health. Okay,
mhm,
3D health. Then a part, and it's hard even to, you can't delineate or you can't just isolate that it's all physical, because in that physicality there's already the multi-dimensionality.
yes,
So okay. And what is it that we have every single day or every moment? I always say, when you have a chance to breathe again, that's another help. So in the breath, that's where that leads you to activating your DNA. However, there are different kinds of breathing also.
Yes, there's
So
many.
many kinds.
Mhm.
So for my breathing,
Yes,
and I've really learned a lot of this in the last 4 years, because with everything that's going on, crazy, you can
crazy.
lose hope. And like
Yes,
God, or you just, and you know, from the last 4 years, it was evident that there's evil. Okay,
there is evil.
that's
Yes,
a reality. Okay,
yes.
so but when you do breathe, what I can share to you is that I think of my breathing in a 12-point breathing.
Okay, can you share with us what that is?
In the 12-point breathing, imagine you're breathing like in a clock. Okay, so there are 12, 6, 3, you know. So when you breathe like that, you're not really just breathing through your nose. Your whole body breathes in that fashion. There are 12 spokes, like in a wheel.
So is
So
it like we're breathing in and filling up all of that clock, every direction that the clock
yeah,
hands can be in?
and those 12, those are different dimensions as well. So you think really much bigger.
Bigger.
Okay? And you can even think of it as like very linear, but then you think again as spherical. You see? Now you're being conscious about your own hologram.
Yes.
Now you have your own sphere of hologram of protection, that you can protect any negative frequency to go in,
Yes.
or ward it out.
Yes.
Okay, or bring good frequencies to you, and then you continue to shape. So when you breathe in, you really, it's kind of opposite of what we know. When we breathe in, we think we're sending in,
Mm,
we're sending out
I love that.
on the Alorian, we're sending out on the spirit
Yes.
channels, on the spirit body.
Yes.
Okay, so when you breathe in, first you do this and have that intention. So
Hmm.
when you breathe in, and you get used to it in a daily, in a moment to moment, but more so when you're doing your meditation. And
Okay.
when you breathe out, you breathe in, you breathe out, you actually bring it to you.
Okay.
So picture it. You're sending your intention out, but you're breathing in, and you release, you bring it in, right in your thymus area, which is your azare, in
Right.
the
Right in your
internal
chest,
life, in
center
your,
of the chest.
yeah, just a little in front of your heart chakra. So
Hmm.
this is your azure and your thymus.
Hmm.
That's where the seat of creation. That is, in science, this is the equivalent to the 0-point field.
Yes.
Okay, so when it goes to you, that's magnetic frequency. When you breathe out, it's electrical. So basically, that you, and this is where materialization happens. Because in materialization, the first one, that's manifestation. People talk about manifestation,
All the time.
totally different. Manifestation is just intention.
Okay.
People manifest, but do they materialize?
Mhm.
Most people don't. But when you have more of that magnetic frequency and that consciousness, you materialize. So when you breathe, and that's one of the eternal breathing, is the 12-point breathing. So that's for me, that's most are the powerful things. Then you can, let's say, to make it easy, you can, wherever you have a difficulty or pain or your body, you can focus that 12-point breathing in that part of your body.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, if you are that person who knows about the different chakras, we don't call it chakras. That's the finite way of naming it, and words are powerful. Spellings are powerful. You remember Dr. Forbes just shared to us Aptos.
Yes. The Aptos font.
Correct. And I was really using Aptos before he shared it to us.
Uh-huh.
Except the number that I use is 12, Aptos 12. So chakras. So you can, if you mostly know where it is, at, the root chakra, you can focus your breathing in those different chakras,
Areas. Yeah.
in those different portals and vortices. And they are more than portals and vortices. They are multidimensional spheres.
Yes.
So that's always think of that. So when those supplements, the food that we eat, they do have their multidimensionality. So always that consciousness, when you breathe in to that, you breathe. So that's the breathing that I liked to do. And then when one is able, and actually while we were in Texas after the event, I happened to we ran into another doctor at the hotel, and then George shared that and Joe they were talking about solar synthesis. So that's another thing that you want to have that practice. It's not called, we don't call it a sun gazing, we
Yes.
call it solar synthesis, because
Yes.
we're actually again connecting with that early morning sunrise and early afternoon.
Yes. Not everybody might know what that is. So can you explain what that is in the morning?
And it's interesting because there's this Dr. Jack Cross
Yes, I'm
who's
familiar.
been saying that already, but
Yes, for a long time.
we've been doing that also. Okay, so it's when early morning sunrise before 9 preferably, you can look at or be around. If you can take it, you look at the sun. If not, just stand there. And I just recommend from 3 minutes to 6 to 12. Okay, the most. And you look at it, and if you know how to focus, and you can do in your eyes, you can do a like cross-eyed it.
Uh-huh.
Some people can do that, and that means you're weaving your optics, which becomes more powerful and connect it with your pineal gland. With your
Uh-huh.
pineal gland, that's a more powerful way of gazing. And you do that even when you look at a picture. If you want to encrypt, meaning anchor that frequency, that's how it's good. But if not, it's okay. You keep looking until you get tired, so you look. So we look at that, and with intention again. There's certain geomancy that I teach people, that if they can remember that geomancy, then they can put that right here, or then inhale again and then exhale. You put it right in all your atoms, in between your cells. You go quantum level, put it in there.
Yes.
So when you're looking, then there's real. So that's, then if you want to amplify that practice, there's really a tone. And this is the one that I shared to that doctor, because George and Joe said, Grace can do it. I get conscious, and and she recorded it actually, and she has it. So I can share it to your audience. So
Sure.
when you're doing that early morning, and again, words are powerful, and these words are from the is an Anuhazi, from the is an Anuhazi word from the
Yes.
Anasazi tribe.
Yes.
So it starts like this: Mata 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 Tiwa Nahevusata Tiwa Nahevusata Tiwa Nahevusata Tiwa Nahevusata. So that's one phrase, and you can keep repeating that from 3 to 12 or more, depends on how much you can do. And sometimes how I do it is I start slow, And in the middle, make it fast. You're
Uh-huh.
accelerating it. You're oscillating. And at the end, you slow it down because now you're landing. You can't just, that's why I'm saying earlier, you can't just expect all your frequencies to go up and then boom. That's when you said you get compact.
Simple.
You get compacted. Okay? So then that will block it. So then you can do it slowly. All
Mhm.
right. So that's really a powerful tool, and George and Joe, and they love it. And so I sent them I said, here's the lyrics, because Joe kept saying when he was in Dominican Republic recently, I said, here's your copy. And he keeps nagging me, Grace, did you ask from the doctor? Because the doctor recorded it in her phone. So and
Oh,
I think I sent it to Nick as well. And so I said, here's my gift for you.
yes. So do you know what those sounds mean? Do they have meaning?
Well, they have all those syllables.
Yes.
Yes, they have meanings, but I don't want to go through the details of that. But basically, you're acknowledging the higher frequencies of the sun. Okay, which in the eternal teachings, that's the fifth dimension, and that's also Rishi. You acknowledge, you want to anchor it. So
Yes.
you're anchoring it, you're encrypting, and you're harmonizing. So the whole song is all about thank you, acknowledging you have this, share because I have this too. So you connect it together, and you acknowledge that strong relationship,
Mhm.
and the sun is not separate.
Yes.
That's in you too. We have that fifth dimension. We have the sun in us.
Yes.
So, like, so at the start, you can say, "Oh, you're separate." No, no. The quantum morphogenetic physics is all about weaving, and right there, because again, source consciousness just down steps, so source consciousness can experience through us.
Yes.
But then we have to go up.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So it's two things. It's gratitude and it's connection. Gratitude
intention,
and connection.
intention,
Yeah.
gratitude, and then of course if you want attention, because the intention, but if you're not
Paying
doing
attention.
attention or not focusing, their dedication is attention also, right?
Yeah.
So you have the intention, you have the attention, and then
Yeah.
you combine it with 12-point breathing, then I think it will make a big difference. You could, and your viewers can give it a try and see for yourself what it brings you, information from others. In fact, it's very interesting. Once you tap into something, it looks like the other things come to you. And
Yeah.
my example is when I wasn't confident to drive far, because I came from New York, then I came to New Jersey, and I always say, give me everything within my reach. And I really found everything that I keep walking only for all the things that I need, because I was a single parent before too. And I'm working full time, and he has to move around on his own, and everything was within our reach.
Oh,
So that's that thing. So when you are always doing that intention, attention, and then you make sure you embody, right? So you embody what you say, because again, what you think, that thought goes down into your words and
yes.
to actions. So
Yes.
six is that level, multi-dimensional. That's dimension four that lives there. Where does it go? Because it is there.
Yeah. I
So
think we have a whole new set of things. I think we've all expanded just as a result of this conversation, which is amazing. So, Grace, I always ask the people who are on our podcast here, our guests, if you were to choose three specific actions that our viewers can begin to take in their life right now that will help them to move their dial on their health and the wellness, what would those three things be that you would recommend?
So the first one is I emphasize is your nutrition, right? So that's
Yes,
important, that nutrition, and Dr. D can guide you with that. And yes, many talks about nutrition, about protein, about collagen, about all these different and minerals. Okay, because there's also minerals is crucial, and
crucial.
that's yes, that also helps in your multidimensionality.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
foundation for that.
yeah. We
Yeah,
need
so
those minerals. We are electric.
yeah, so that's one. And then, of course, the second one is pay attention to your breathing. Are
Hmm.
you breathing properly? Are you holding your breath? And then, if you want to learn other breathing, there's that eternal breathing. I know there's other pranayama breathing, but we have a different pranayama breathing in the eternal teachings. Is always going out for intentions and then activating it by magnetic frequencies to you. So
Mm.
that's work. Okay. So and that will be listen, for the nutrition. For me, really, I have upgraded my water, my quality of
Yes.
water in the
Water.
last 4 years, and my quality of minerals. I really go to the purified sea minerals.
Yes.
Okay, because we're most of in that purified seawater, that's basically the whole periodic table that's
Right.
in the body.
Right.
And we went down the road of deuterium depleted water. That's again because I want to make sure that my mitochondria will can heal now, and
Yes.
when I transition to where I'm gonna go
Yes.
past this lifetime.
Yes.
Okay, so we prepare that for that, and those two things. Okay, and of course, yeah, if you that when I mentioned about uh the protein intake, because if I can do it, I like to take my physical body somewhere where
Yes. Do
I'm
things. Be
strong.
active.
I'm, I'm strong and all that, right? And so that, and definitely surround, you say what you can do, the people who, if the people, I know relatives are relatives, maybe you can really throw them away, but you can take a pause if some people do not help you anymore. If you're being vampired, it's okay to make new friends. It's okay to take a pause for
Yes.
a year. Just don't let it live in your heart that you're going to be, oh, I'm better than you guys, so I'll
Right.
no, no, not like that, but it's mostly trying to feel sense that you are not really giving away your power.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
that's most important. So I
The
think
boundary.
those three things are always good. And if I may just add, we shared it already, that sun, that
Yeah.
solar is
Of
very,
course.
very important.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love.
okay? Like when you even put on, if you can touch, put your feet, no shoes on the dirt, and again with intention, because sometimes you know how the dirt may have a lot of bad chemicals. It's okay, just you can transmute that. I always say, if you activate a lot of your frequencies, you can transmute anything.
Yeah. We are magical.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
are magical,
Mhm.
magical beings, and we have yet to really understand the true magic that we have within us, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yes, it's nice. It's nice. And when you said you were doing this with your family, um, I did really the 12 months. I think this is my last month, and I just have to maybe for now recycle. So my focus is trust. This month is all about trust in source consciousness.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So
That's
every
beautiful.
month, so then I look at it. No, that's my esteem. You're okay. Okay. So when even our things are questionable in your life, trust, trust,
Yes.
and trust. Basically, that's all also in the chakra too. When
Hmm.
in your inner child, in your pure child.
Yes.
Yeah. So then that's another way. So when you can tie. Many people know many things. Sometimes it's just a matter of practicing it, trusting what you know. Oh, there's this. I'm gonna meet her shortly because she's also joining me in the Philippine medical mission. She always reminds me of like, you know what you do, and you do what you know.
Yes. Yeah.
So I like that.
I
Do
love
what
that.
you know and know what you do.
Yeah. And slow down, right? The other theme I hear is slow down so that you can also be in touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grace, where can our listeners learn more about you and where can they find your podcast?
So for my website, it is my name, Grace Asagra, ASAGRA.com. But sometimes I say that my website could be much better. But so go straight and email me if you have to get in touch with me. It's Grace Asagra at ymail, as in letter Y, mail.com. My podcast is all over, but I like you to get hold of Rumble in Quantum Nurse Rumble, because that's where I do my live stream right now. I don't hope for to go back to YouTube in a big way because they took down already. But I'm doing the things that are like not too controversial for YouTube. I put it there. I put it there. Okay. Yeah.
These censored things are on Rumble. I love
Yeah,
that.
until they may say, "Hey, if you keep talking about DNA activation, they may not like you because you may not." I may talk so
Oh,
much.
the
So
insanity.
that's the one. So feel
Yeah.
free. I'm very visible in online. Even my phone number is online.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, for joining us, for sharing your wisdom, and for helping us expand. And we'll have all of your information, of course, in the podcast information. So if you need links to Grace's site, if you haven't picked it up there, you can certainly go ahead and pick it up. So thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of True Wellness with Dr. Z. And thank you so much, Grace, for being here with us today. This is Dr. D, reminding you to tune into your body, reconnect with what matters, and embrace the journey to true wellness. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to redefine their health. Let's keep redefining wellness and empowering change together. See you next Thursday for the next episode drop.